Welcome back to Open Line, talking with elder law attorney Tim Takis. We were talking about wills and that kind of thing as we went to break. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Robert. Hello, Robert.
Hello, how are you?
Great. Go right ahead.
My question is, my mom is in her mid-80s, and she has a lease with an apartment. If she starts suffering like from Alzheimer's, where she cannot properly take care of herself anymore, can she break that lease? That is my question. I'll take it off the phone. Thank you.
That's an interesting question, because I could tell you pretty categorically that if it was an assisted living or something, you could, because they always have those type of clauses. Mm-hmm. But I don't know of any, like a basic lease that allows you to get out of it.
Right, right.
Because the landlord did nothing, you know, to cause the person not to be able to inhabit the premises, and the landlord's entitled to its rent.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times landlords will let you get out of your lease if you can find someone else to come in.
Yeah, or maybe you now, having said that, you know, what a landlord is required to do is what's called mitigate damages. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're 3 months into a 1-year lease term, you know, and mama gets sick and she can't stay there anymore. She goes to a nursing home. You know, the landlord can't just sit on it, you know, and say, well, we'll just keep collecting rent.
Oh, I see.
The landlord has to say, you know, go to the tenant or the tenant's representative and say, my duty is to mitigate damages. So if you're not paying for the rent, I'm going to find another tenant. Mm-hmm. But as long as I have not found another tenant, you pay.
You're responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be the situation.
Yeah, that could be.
Okay, Robert, thank you for that call. Let's go to Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Hello.
Hi, go right ahead.
I was actually calling for a friend of mine that's not here. She gave me the number because she was watching you guys. But her question was, what do you do if you have a mother that needs to go to the nursing home, but all the lane and stuff is in her lane? And I know the person she's talking about have had a stroke, so she's not able to talk or anything like that. But all the lane, the property, everything is in her name, and it's just her daughter that's clueless, don't know what to do.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess I think what I heard her say is the lady is in a nursing home and she owns real estate. Is that
the lady needs to go to
a nursing home?
But everything's in the name of the person who needs to go.
Right. You know, then basically the rule is that when you go to a nursing home, you're paying privately until you qualify, or unless you qualify for the state Medicaid program to pay the bill. You can have a house. If you're not married, your house, you can have a value of your property is about $550,000, or the equity value, and you can have $2,000 in the bank. You know, and the Medicaid program will, if you meet all the other criteria, then the Medicaid program will pay for your nursing home care.
Now, her concern is, let's say she has lots of land.
Yeah.
And they don't want that land to go away.
Well. Most people don't.
Right. So what do you do then?
So their options are, you know, they pay privately. You know, or I mean, if she's, you know, and this is kind of gets back to what we talked about. Like you were asking me, what's the most important thing? What's the biggest mistakes people make? You know, is not planning ahead. Mm-hmm. You know, if we could have planned ahead, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years, if we saw this coming, because mom has been, you know, not so well. You know, she wanted to make sure that the farm got to the children. She wanted to and the children wanted to make sure that she was taken care of. We can put a plan in place where they can meet those goals. But when they're in a situation where she's basically almost in a nursing home and they don't know, you know, and they're not able to take care of her at home, you know, then they're going to have to figure out how to pay for it, or they're going to have to figure out how to qualify for the Medicaid program.
And there's a look back.
Yes.
So you couldn't gift it to someone. Is it 5 years?
It's a 5-year look back period for most gifts that are made. Now, some gifts are not disqualifying. If you gift, like giving like a property to a spouse, from one spouse to another, that's not disqualifying. But just mostly if a person gives money or property to a child or other family member, you know, unless there's an exception that applies, you know, it's a 5-year look back period. You know, it means that it means that you can't get Medicaid for 5 years. It doesn't mean that the state requires you to, that you, the child, you know, well, you're going to have to sell that, you know, the Medicaid doesn't require you to sell anything. They just say you're not qualified.
All right, Amanda, thank you for that. We have about a minute left in this segment.
Yeah.
When we were talking about wills, something you said is don't disinherit someone by giving them $1.
Yes.
I mean, so there are these mythic stories out there of, you know, so-and-so showed up for the reading of his father's will and his father gave him 2 pennies.
Right, right. And somehow it's passed down. Even I've seen. I mean, I know that there are thousands of wills out there in which somebody left somebody $1, because even the lawyer somehow believed that if you give somebody $1, that shows that you're disinheriting them and that's all they're going to get. Okay.
Right.
Now, if you give somebody $1, then they can cause trouble, because now they have standing to come in and say, I want an accounting. You know, I want a bond being set. I want all of this sort of stuff. They can, you know, they can refuse the $1, and then somebody has to go look for them to give them their $1.
So the right thing to do would be to say,
I give this person nothing.
I give them nothing. Don't try and insult them with the $1,
Right,
because it gives them. I think that's
right.
very interesting. It gives them standing.
Gets them standing to come into the court and say, you know, I want you to do all this. You know, if you're going to try to be mean, they'll turn around and they can be mean back.
Yeah, which makes sense. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. Be back right after this.